Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. These videos come from Austin, Texas. The Austin police have put these videos on their YouTube page, but they're all broken up into multiple different videos. They have not created a typical critical incident briefing type of video. There's no spokesperson that talks to the camera and explains things that are going on or anything like that. Even when you click into the video themselves, or at least I know for the first one I clicked into, there was no narrative in the comment section kind of explaining what's going on. It's just the the two audios, the radio traffic, the security camera footage, and 3 officers' body cam footage that's on here. So I'll read to you a news story that comes from KXAN Austin to give you some information about what's going on here. It doesn't give a date of when this was written. It just says 1 month ago. At time of recording, it is February 27, 2023. 3 Austin Police Department officers shot at a man they believed had fired shots in downtown Austin seconds after he jumped off a porch during a chase, the department revealed Friday as it released several videos related to the deadly officer-involved shooting that occurred January 15, 2023. Those materials include 911 audio, surveillance footage, and footage from all 3 officers' body cameras, which were uploaded to APD's YouTube channel. The Travis County District Attorney's Office reviewed them before release. The suspect, 30-year-old Anthony Marquis Franklin, died of his injuries. Attorneys for his family released a statement Friday which pointed out he was on the ground, crouched in the fetal position when these officers opened fire. The department noted it redacted some elements of the videos to comply with state law and doesn't allow certain information to be released and to maintain the integrity of the investigation. It said transparency and accountability are key to our ability to serve the Austin community, so we will provide an account of this critical incident to help you understand the chain of events. The officers who discharged the department-approved firearms were Officer Kelby Radford, Officer Ryan Rollins, and Officer Jacob Bowman. Radford has served for 3 years and 8 months, Rollins has served for 7 years and 9 months, and Bowman has worked for 11 months. After the Travis County District Attorney's Office reviewed the audio and video materials, APD released them to the public. However, it said the details it provided Friday were preliminary, as the incident was still early in the investigation. Timeline of police shooting. At 11:33 p.m., Austin 911 dispatchers started getting 911 calls within seconds of another about a man with a gun and gunshots fired in downtown Austin. Officers immediately responded to the calls for help. At 11:34 p.m., multiple people on the same phone line called 911, and a man told dispatchers someone had been shot. A woman on the call said someone was shooting in the area of Lavaca Street and 5th Street. At 11:36 p.m., another 911 caller described a chaotic scene and said people were running in the 300 block of West 6th Street. Officers headed to the area. At 11:35 p.m., the first officers arrived on the scene and began searching for the man with the gun. Witnesses and 911 callers gave a description to officers, which was put out over the police radio. At 11:38 p.m., a man who had been shot was found at 5th Street and Lavaca Street, and he began speaking with officers. The victim had a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. Officers provided medical aid to the man and called Austin Travis County EMS to the scene. ATC EMS took the man to the local hospital, where he was treated and released. At 11:45 p.m., 3 APD officers riding in an APD utility vehicle in the area saw a man who police said matched the description of the shooter. He was later identified as Franklin. The officers yelled to each other about the gun and told Franklin several times to drop it. That's when Franklin began to run west on 6th Street and then north on Colorado Street. One of the officers jumped out of the utility vehicle and ran after him. Police said Franklin then ran onto the porch of the building. Another man was on the porch and jumped off with his hands up, running away. Police said they did not believe he was involved. Franklin jumped off the porch and rolled on the ground as he landed. Seconds later, 3 officers fired at him. The video shows Franklin drag himself along the sidewalk and throw his gun toward a vehicle parked on the street near him. It landed directly in front of him. Officers told him do not move, and he didn't. The video showed officers approaching him and handcuffing him. The video stopped there, but a release from police said they immediately began life-saving measures. Franklin was taken to the hospital with serious injuries and died around 12:30 a.m. All 3 officers who fired shots were put on administrative leave as part of APD protocol. A criminal investigation and administrative investigation are both ongoing. Their attorney made a statement to this news agency and said, while most of us were celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, Anthony Franklin was taking his last breaths because these officers thought they were gunslingers instead of peace officers, wrote the attorneys for Franklin's family. Austin may be in Texas, but it's not the Wild West, and you don't get to appoint yourself judge, jury, and executioner whenever you want. I fucking hate it when people say stupid shit like that. You're not the judge, jury, and executioner, blah, 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 blah. I guarantee you, these attorneys, if they were put in a position where they were about to be fucking murdered by someone, and you put a gun in their hand, what are they going to do? They're going to act. They are going to self-preserve just like anyone else will self-preserve. And then, of course, they're going to fall into this, well, I guess, they appointed themselves as judge, jury, and executioner. Oh, that fucking pisses me off. So Austin, Texas. I don't know much about Austin, Texas. I know it's a large town, but it seems to be a little off the chain. So if you do a search for a YouTube channel called Texas Street Fights 2, it's TX Street Fights 2. They also have another channel. Well, they did have another channel that was called Texas Street Fights, but I guess it got deleted. But the channel is called Texas Street Fights 2, and it's a person who basically takes a camera into downtown Austin, around 6th Street area and places around there, and he just records all these fights that break out. And it's a pretty interesting channel because the amount of fights that go on to keep this channel and busy with all the videos, but and watching those fights too. So you can pick up on like body language stuff, and it's a good source of visual material to be able to look at those things that people do right before they attack, pre-assault indicators. So you can see them doing the, they're looking around thing, they're picking at themselves. It's called picking. So they'll pull their pants up a little bit. They'll mess with their shirt. You may see them take their hand and they'll kind of rub their head, or they'll pull on their ear, rub their nose, or something like that. You see the fists start to clench. So it's a pretty good channel, in my opinion, to be able to go look at those visuals to get an idea of what pre-assault indicators look like, and also to just see the mechanics of a real street fight, right? As far as fights go, I think people have a pretty unrealistic expectation of how fights play out, thanks to Hollywood and movies, and then also like UFC and stuff like that. Watching these fights that occur live, so to speak, real and in the wild, it obviously doesn't play out the way fights in Hollywood or UFC and stuff like that play out. It's amateur hour for the most part. You can tell some of these people don't have any experience, in structured martial arts or anything like that. But one of the big takeaways from that is it's not just one-on-one. It's one on multiple. So without going too far any further into that channel and talking about the goodness of it, I'll just say that the Texas Street Fights 2 channel is a pretty good channel to go look at to see some of that fight stuff, and just how wild Austin is, at least their downtown area. But the other takeaway from it is how the police respond to those things down there. And so in these videos, you'll see these people fighting, and you hear whistles blowing, and then you see lights flashing. You'll see either it's like flashlights sweeping left and right very quickly, or you see like a strobing effect. And it's a group of police officers walking towards the fight. They're not jogging, they're not running, they're not moving with any pep in their step. They're just walking towards them, and they're blowing whistles and shining their lights. And a lot of times you'll see the fights break up, and the people disperse, and the police stop. They don't chase them, they don't run after them, nothing. They just stop blowing their whistles and flashing their lights. If they continue to do that and the people don't break up, when they finally get up there to them, they just pepper spray at them. And that will usually break people up. And even then, when those people separate and turn away and go to different directions, the police don't pursue. They don't chase them. They don't cuff them. The majority of the time, they don't do anything to them. It's only in cases where these people continue to be problems do they actually go hands-on with them and take them into custody. So it's been about a year, probably, since I've been watching this channel. And their police response to these things, I think, has a playing hand in how wild that downtown scene is. In my opinion, the police are not acting like the police should be. I think they should be a little bit more aggressive in their approach when they go to these things. And because they're not, and because people are practically acting lawless and breaking these laws right there in front of police and not getting an immediate repercussion for it, I think that builds sort of an atmosphere of, well, we can do whatever the fuck we want, even when the police are watching. So this incident that occurred where the shots were fired and everything, it would be almost probably impossible to prove it, but I would say it probably has some connection to how the police respond to things down there. I'd say the police are somewhat indirectly responsible for how that stuff had played out down there. I think that if, all across the board there was a more aggressive approach to things and police just lock people up and take people down hard, that it would leave a lasting impression on that crowd down there, and it would leave a thought in people's heads down there: don't fuck around, because the police don't fuck around. You can see that in larger areas where there's less police and more bullcrap goes on, that there's a more loss of control. Whereas smaller areas where the police can keep their finger on the pulse, so to speak, and have more hands on deck and are very quick to address things, there's less problems. So there is a correlation with how police and how that affects the crowds and whether they act stupid or not. I can tell you that in my hometown, I know that late 90s, early 2000s, our downtown bar scene, which is a college town, things could get wild down there. I know from, the early 2000s, not saying, it was all peaceful or nothing like that. There were some brawls and stuff like that, but the police presence was very strong. It would be a very common sight at closing time for the bars downtown, to see multiple police officers standing in the Fountain Square, just waiting for shit to pop off, making their presence known. And when shit did pop off, boom, they were on it. They were fucking on it like white on rice. And so, although there was some stupid stuff that went on, it was pretty well kept in check. People knew, don't fuck around, because the police will get you. As years gone on, the city has grown. There's staffing issues within the agency, some leadership problems within the agency. You got some people who just don't want to take a hands-on approach to shit because they want to avoid any scandals or, you know, bad images, whatever. And then some of the hiring practices, they're just not hiring fucking meat eaters anymore. The things have drastically changed. And now it's no longer like that. It's no longer, oh, watch out, the police will get you. They don't give a fuck about the police down there. January of last year, our city police got into an incident in the downtown bar district on the square, and they were fucking surrounded by people. Like, the crowd started to surround them. And they had to call for backup, and, like, you know, it was like hitting the fucking, you know, the emergency button, lifting up the red phone, like the whole damn county came in, like the sheriff's office came, the Western Campus Police came, the state police came, like they activated, those dispatchers called fucking everybody. And those people were actively fighting police. Now, you also have to take into account, you know, some of the political crap that has gone on. You know, certain people saying that, or advocating or insinuating that it is good, that it is okay to buck up to the police and to question the police, etc. I'd say some of that has factored into it as well. But you can't discount the fact that the staffing issues and the leadership issues and that lack of a presence down there, it has certainly played a role, in my opinion. And so if you go take a chance to look at this Texas Street Fights 2 channel on YouTube, go through and watch several of those videos and watch how the police respond to those things. And you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about, with how I think that their lack of a proper response kind of breeds this lawless fucking attitude down there. Like, the people don't give a shit. They feel emboldened to go out and do stupid shit. So, in a way, I think that the Austin government is somewhat indirectly responsible for something like this happening. I think that had they been more aggressive, more hardcore in their approach to things and policing that crowd down there, that some of those real stupid people probably would not have felt so inclined to go out and do, you know, the stupid shit that they were doing. But anyway, enough of that rant, and we will get into these videos.
Austin 911, do you need police, fire, EMS, or mental health services? Austin 911.
Call 911.
Do you need an ambulance?
There's a guy shooting.
Where are you at?
I am at Lavassa and 5th Street.
Okay. Can you see what he looks like? Is he white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
What the fuck? I don't know. You want to talk to me? I want to fucking go to the hospital.
What does he look like? Is he white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
Sorry?
The person that was shooting, is he white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
We don't know where it's coming from. There's shots downtown.
Okay. Is somebody hurt, ma'am?
Someone call him.
Ma'am, is somebody hurt?
Okay, I got you, brother. Calm down.
Do you need an ambulance, sir?
Stop.
Sir.
Where?
We have a lot of help headed out there. Where are you at?
Shooting people Where's she at? Where's she at? Where's she at? Where's she at?
Sir, we have a lot of help headed out there. I need to know where you are. Where do we need to get the help?
There's a guy going down shooting around. He's along Lavassa and West 6th Street. I got one guy that shot. I'm telling you, it's still going.
Are the police with him right now?
Yes, we got police everywhere.
Okay.
We're going to need some ambulance out here, a lot of them.
Okay, we're getting tons of help out there, sir.
No, I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to help people right now. I know what
Okay.
I know what to do.
What's your name?
Austin 911, do you need police, fire,
Yeah,
EMS,
so,
or mental health services?
No, this is ATX 300.
I'm sorry?
This is ATX, I'm sorry. This is 300 West 6th Street.
300 West 6th
We have
Street?
a,
Okay.
yes, we have an individual, people are saying that he has a gun outside the building.
Okay, what is the location, the name of the location?
300 West 6th Street. It will be with, what's the back one, what's the name of Lavaca and, no, that's Guadalupe.
No, what's the name? What's the name of the
What's
business?
the name of y'all building here? 300 West 6th Street, which would be the Merit building.
I'm sorry?
300 West 6th Street.
Okay, is this a business?
Yes.
Okay, do you know the name of the business?
It's Meta. We had shots fired.
Okay, how many?
Okay, 2, 3 people are running. Okay. I got to, hey,
Okay, where are you
Jose.
calling from?
I'm calling from Meta.
META?
Yeah.
And your dispatch?
No, I'm calling from my cell on the bottom floor.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
do you see... Hello, sir?
I don't see anything. I'm still here.
Okay, and you said people
Okay,
are
I need
running.
you down here ASAP.
Okay, do you... do you see anything else? You said people are running.
No, I hear shots fired. The shots been fired. 3
Can you
shots
hear
fired.
more?
Yes. Can you lock those doors? ATX 300.
Do you see any vehicles leaving or just people running?
No, people have ran and the cops just went down that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see officers?
Officers, I've seen police cars running, passing by. I'm not going out there.
Okay, where did the shot came from?
I have no idea because I couldn't see. I was inside the building.
Okay.
And he's called ASOP. You got shot fired outside.
Okay, I'll go ahead and let you go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
So that was the 2 audio recordings for 911. Some of it was bleeped out, and I'm assuming that they bleeped some of the stuff out or muted some of the stuff out because it was under the law there in Texas. Whatever their law stipulates for open records that will govern what they can and cannot release. There must have been some stuff that fell under that law that they did not or were not allowed to release. Each state's a little bit different when it comes to open records and what they can and cannot release. Some states are pretty relaxed, some states are not. And the times have also changed too. So several years back, things that you could get under open records were a lot more liberal, I guess you could say. There are some places where you could fully get autopsy photos, the uncensored crime scene photos. I mean, gruesome stuff. And then now as, media and technology has advanced, things are more easily shareable. People have a voice, so to speak. They have a platform for their voice to be heard to others. More things have been sensationalized, and there's been more restrictions on open records laws in many states. I think to some extent, that's in some things it's a bit of an overreach. I think it is unconstitutional how some of these states have put in place such restrictive clauses within their open records laws. I think that as time goes on and these laws are fought, or if they do get fought in court, they will eventually crumble and fall because they are unconstitutional, in my opinion. Now, there's some things, without a doubt that, just don't need to be put out in public, like a person's social security number, stuff like that could be victimizing a person or make them more readily capable of being victimized for identity theft and stuff like that. But everything else, I think, should be viewable by the public. But anyway, that's why you hear some of the audio recordings don't, you can tell that it's been edited, and that's because of the laws and stuff. Other people, they may say, oh, they're trying to hide stuff, blah 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 blah. No, they're not. Like, people who come up with that shit, man, like the people who come up with these insinuations that the police are in some type of conspiracy, cover up kind of thing. Like, when you look at these people and you look into them, like, you can tell they're stupid people. Like, they're they are lower class, stupid ass people. Anyway, the call themselves. So the first call, the woman who made the call, completely inattentive to the dispatcher, not paying attention to what the dispatcher is asking. That makes it very difficult for the dispatchers to send the right resources and to send the right resources to the correct place. Thankfully, technology has advanced for many areas, and the dispatchers, they don't even have to ask where you're at because they can see on the screen exactly where you are. If you call from a landline, in most places, they're going to know exactly where you're calling from. And if their dispatch center is advanced enough, they're going to have multiple screens. They're going to have a map showing, where you're at. Even on cell phone, they can have a map system there to show an approximation of where you're at. They can even if you're not calling 911, there's ways to ping cell phones, and they can bring that stuff up and figure out where you're at just by pinging your phone. But even then, on cell phones, it's an approximation. Sometimes it's not like down to 6 inches of accuracy or anything like that. It could be like 100 feet approximation or something like that. So they still need to ask where exactly they are, but they can, while they're trying to get exact information of exactly where they are, a lot of these places can still send resources to that general area. And then as they're en route, as they're extracting more information out of these callers, they can get a more pinpoint position on where they're at. But those calls right there, like I said, they kind of illustrate some of the chaos that dispatchers have to go through when people call in. People just frantic, not paying attention. They can't answer questions very well. And the dispatcher's got a lot on their plate. One, keeping track of like all the stuff that's going on, keeping track of, where all the police are, what they're doing, who's in service, who's not, who's on this traffic stop, what the fire department's doing, etc. And then these people calling in, they got a lot of stuff going on that they got to be paying attention to, making notes of, keeping track of things. And these people who call 911 and just sound like idiots, it just makes it even more difficult for them to deal with. So just wanted to point that out and kind of give a shout out to the dispatchers, because they do go through a whole lot more than I think what I think people realize. I don't think people really realize how much stuff dispatchers go through. All right, moving on.
Data 1912, George 708-904, all en route for shots fired, 300 West 6. Got one caller advice.
David, you put me on the call.
2 shots were heard.
I just heard a pop somewhere.
What was the location of that? George 308 tonight, your last?
Passersby at Republic Square saying it came from 6th Street. One.
So I'll pause it real quick. These radio recordings, so they're basically voice activated, I guess you could say. The digital recordings are not recording dead airtime. So if there's like 3 minutes of no one talking on the radio, you don't get 3 minutes of just dead recording. Now, way back in the day, when they were using reels of tape, that may have been a slightly different kind of thing. But these digital devices, I mean, they don't do that. So when you hear these people talking back and forth, some of it is relatively quick, but there is some instances of there being dead airtime where no one's talking that we just don't get to realize that there was 2 minutes of no talking or 30 seconds of no talking. It's all back to back as far as the voices go. That beeping noise you hear is a tone that is generated on a frequency when someone asks for a channel to be held. So a channel being held. So agencies have multiple different channels that they can operate off of. Channel 1, Channel 2, Channel 3, Channel 4, Channel 5, etc. And they may be called, different things. They may be called, Dispatch 1 or PD 1 or SO 1 or SO North, South, whatever. Their Channel 1 is going to be their primary channel that the dispatch calls out to and that, everybody talks on. And then Channel 2 may be the designated backup channel so that people know if there's like 2 big incidents going on, people stay on one channel, Channel 1, and then everything else, people are on Channel 2. And then those subsequent channels, it really depends on the area and the agencies. They may have one designated for Criminal Investigations Division. There may be one designated as like just a general talk around radio where you can get on there and have like a longer winded conversation on the radio. There may be special events channels. There may be a channel designated just for the SWAT team, etc. So that first channel though that everyone's dispatched off of, and they arrive to the scene. They say, "Dispatch, I'm on scene," or "I'm in the area," whatever. Everyone operates off that channel on a normal day-to-day basis. And when something critical happens, like shots fired, officer calls out a traffic stop. He's on Channel 1. It's like, headquarters, copy traffic on 123 out of Bacon Charles. And they're doing their traffic stop. And then all the other stuff, police world-wise, is going on that channel too. Dispatch is sending out, a couple cars to a burglary call, or sending another car to a missing juvenile call. It's all going on that one channel. Well, the minute that officer who's on that traffic stop says, "Hold the channel," or, "Shots fired," dispatch will make an announcement on that radio. They'll just hit the button and start talking. They'll say, "All units hold traffic on Channel 1 until units at blah, blah, blah can advise." And they'll hit this tone generator, and they'll go out and go beep, and they'll say, hold channel, or hold traffic, however they say it. And then that's an announcement for everyone to basically shut the hell up. Like, unless you're there on that scene doing the thing with them, you don't talk on that channel. You go to a different channel and call out your bullshit. But that recurring beep, beep tone is for those people who did not get to initially hear that first tone that went out. So you could have someone who was on a lunch break and they turned the radio off or all the way down. Could be someone who was on some other unrelated call and they turned the radio down so they didn't hear all that crap going on in the background. And now they're done with what they're doing, and they get back out of their car, or they turn the radio back up, and when they turn the volume back up, they can hear that recurring beeping noise to let them know, stay the fuck off this channel. Because that's happened in many places where officers on the scene of a building clearing or shots fired, whatever, that's causing them to hold channel. they'll be holding channel, and then you hear some dumbass get back on the radio if they're completing a call, like, Charlie 5 headquarters, while everyone's like in the middle of a building search, and this damn broadcast is echoing off the walls, and everyone's like, what the fuck is he doing? But yeah, that's what that recurring beeping noise is. It's to let other people know who didn't already know at the beginning to stay off that channel. Don't talk. All right, moving on.
Caller says it came from Greenlight Social.
Get Halo.
912, we're at Greenlight, looking.
Got a shoot stab at Quad and 6. Still waiting for more.
1102 going to Quad and 6.
New caller says Lavaca and 6.
Lavaca?
6 in Lavaca.
23 in that area, I'll be looking.
We're chasing our tail so far. Does anyone actually have any victims?
We got nothing yet. Edward 01, I have one guy saying it's a black male that was shooting. He went north of Quad from 6 and Quad. Having Lavaca, we got a bloody mouth. Gunshot wound.
There. That was Lavaca in Cross Street.
I'm going to be out with one victim, but it's not cooperative.
They're out with one victim, uncooperative. Where you at?
Give me a couple units of 5th and Quad. Male shots to the head.
They're 5 in Quad.
$1102, I'm at 5 in Quad. Where are you?
I'm in Lavaca.
Before I have black male with a gun who went northbound towards 6 and Lavaca.
I need direction for EMS.
In a green gun.
SB-107, you could have EMS come to 5th and Lavaca. Hey, what's suspect description? 33, the gunshot wound is superficial right now.
They're superficial.
No one's being cooperative. I have a black male possibly wearing a black shirt, Afro-style hair with a gray gun, was last seen going northbound towards 6 and Lavaca, intoxicated, waving his gun around.
George 1102, Halo.
What's that clothing description again?
Oh, we got the black shirt, Afro-style hair, gray 1032.
Is Halo working?
Black male, black jacket, I'm still working on it.
Halo 2, Halo will update when they have something to say.
Clear.
Witnessing black male went eastbound on 6th Street.
Time for. Copy. Black man went eastbound on 6th. 10-4. Sure.
Got a black male about 6162, pretty big afro. He was last seen at 6 Lavaca now, standing in front of a bar, all dark clothing. Thin build, don't have an approximate weight.
Copy. Black male 61 to 62, big afro, last seen 6 in Lavaca, wearing all dark clothing, thin build.
How big an afro is big? Like more than 2 inches?
9912. Hey, do we need to shut it off and make a crime scene?
Crime scene's going to be on 6th Street somewhere. He ran over here from 6th Street.
Means it's going to be a pretty big afro, very noticeable.
I'll send up a perimeter.
Hey, y'all just start working on shutting down all 6th Street between Lavaca and Block for now, and it may expand from there.
10-4. 1103, I'll be blocking off Lavaca and 6th. Reroute traffic northbound.
If we can stop, we get somebody at 4th and Lavaca. Hey, 6th in Colorado, 6th in Colorado! Where he's going, he's running!
6 in Colorado.
Northbound!
David 803 update.
There's not a force, shots taken!
Here.
All right, so
9819.
that is the radio traffic there. Not much else to comment on it. We'll get into the body cam footage. All right, so this is the surveillance footage from a building. All right, let's see that again. So here's the first person that jumped out and ran with his hands up, the one that they said that they don't think had anything to do with the incident. So he comes out, and we can start seeing rounds being fired. The gun is in his hand, and he throws it right there. Let's back that up again so you see it again. Here comes the dude. He looks like you go to a car lot and you got the little inflatable wavy arm dude. That's what he looks like. Back it up again. So he has the gun in his hand, in my opinion, this entire time. It's not like it just, fell out of his jacket or something like that. It appears to me as though it was in his hand from the moment he jumped down. It was like it fell out of his hand. And then he tries to tamper with the evidence and throw it under the car. And then it damn near appears as though he tries to crawl back towards the gun. So yeah, this is it's not the clearest video, right? But it's still pretty clear to me this guy had the gun in his hand. So we'll watch the body cam footage and we'll go from there. All right, so this camera footage starts from the officers who were on the all-terrain vehicle. Now, what I talked about earlier about that Texas street fight YouTube channel and the downtown district being, super busy and all that, they're not that far from that area. So I think this is probably why they have this all-terrain vehicle. It's smaller than an actual squad car. It can get up and down into areas a whole lot quicker. You don't need a whole car to be able to do that, to go weave in and out of crowds and go through block streets if they do that kind of thing. So this is kind of a common thing, I guess you could say, in very large metropolitan areas. You'll see officers using these all-terrain vehicles like this. A little bit of an overkill, I think, for an urban setting. When a golf cart could do the same damn thing. I mean, all it is just moving people. But, agencies got money to spend, so they get the nicer things. But anyway, moving on.
He's got a gun. Hey, 6 of Colorado, 6 of Colorado. One with a gun, he's running. Running northbound. Don't move. Do not move. Hey, you're good. I'm with you. Let's go. All right.
Hey guys, I hold lethal from over here on the long axis.
Hey, get up close. You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. 2.
Huh?
Fire 2. I don't know. She was reaching, right? See right there. Hey, we got someone gloves. Let's get medical going.
All right, let's see that again. So that happens pretty quickly.
He's got a gun. Hey, 6 of Colorado. One with a gun, he's running.
So they notice that this guy's got a gun. They initially start to take off on foot, but decide to get back in their ATV here.
Running northbound.
So you see the first guy jump out right here, the inflatable wavy arm guy. Back it up just a little bit. So, yeah. So wavy arm guy's jumping out. See him right there. And you see the other guy over here. Wavy arm guy there. Dude hits the ground over here. And this officer fucking just leans out of this ATV and starts firing. Still driving, by the way. Like, if you pay attention to the background here, the trees, as he's shooting, you can tell they're still moving forward.
Don't move.
Dude. He's like, woo! Yeah.
Don't move. Do not move.
Personally, in my opinion, the minute that he went forward towards that gun and was looking and appearing as though he was going for it, I think they should have fired again. 100%. I firmly believe that. Now we can see, obviously, in this video that this guy did not end up grabbing it. But I do believe that he had intentions of grabbing it, but I think that he probably became mentally incapacitated in the fight at this point. He's still physically capable of grabbing it. His hands were reaching, his hands are moving, he's looking around, he's saying, woo, right? He's still physically able to do stuff. He is not 100% physically incapacitated. Now, in that surveillance footage, we saw him basically pull himself forward, and it did not look like his legs were working. It's possible that he is temporarily paralyzed at some point going down, but his upper extremities is still able to do stuff. So he's still physically capable of fighting. I just don't think that mentally he's ready to fight. I think that probably he's felt some pain. That's probably where that woo came from. And he knows they're on him. They're on him like fucking white on rice. And he knows he don't have a snowball's chance in hell in grabbing that thing, or else they're gonna fill him full of lead. I think had there been less officers there, he may have felt froggy enough to grab it. Back that up a little bit more.
Don't move! 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 Do not 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 move!
I don't have nothing. So what was he doing by going for that gun? Well, him throwing it, I think he is trying to destroy evidence. I think he's trying to hide the gun, right, by throwing it under the car. I think that he probably thinks in his little brain that, oh, if I throw the gun under the car, they won't see it, and I can't get in trouble for it. And I think he recognizes the fact that it doesn't go completely up under the vehicle. And I think that he has this initial thought of, oh, I'll grab it and throw it under the car a little bit more, and then they won't be able to see it. Did he have intentions of shooting at these officers? It's hard to say. Part of me thinks that no, he had no intention of shooting at the officers, because he has a hold of the gun during this entire time. And then he tries to throw it under the car, when he could have very well just turned and started blasting. So on that initial contact, I don't think he had any intentions of shooting at police. I think he had intentions of ditching the gun and hiding it. This right here, where he slides himself towards it, it's 50-50. I think that it's plausible that he had intentions of trying to further hide the thing, conceal it, hide it under the car. I know it sounds stupid as hell. Like what was this guy thinking trying to hide the gun? They're standing right there, right? But you have to realize that you were thinking about this from a rational, intelligently working brain. And that's something people like this just don't have. So he could have been thinking in his head, oh, I'll just slide it up under the car a little bit more and they won't find it. Or he could have had the mindset of, oh, they done shot me. I'm gonna shoot them now. So he could have been going towards that gun to grab it, to shoot at them. But was not mentally tough in that resolve. Chickened out, I guess you could say.
Do not move! Do not move! Hey, we're good. I'm with you. Let's go. All right.
Hey guys, I hold lethal from over here on the long axis.
Get up close. Get up close.
Don't you move! Don't you move!
You good?
So we tell this one officer right here has a rifle. That's great. Unfortunately, so many times we see in videos like this where officers are not getting long guns out. That's one of my chief complaints when it comes to officer-involved shooting videos is officers not getting rifles out when they need to be getting them out. So this is a call that was involving a person with a gun. Now, some of these officers who are here in this area, they may have gone to this area by foot because they were, nearby this downtown district area, potentially. They could have just went over there on foot, and they were just originally walking around in that area anyway, and they weren't in a car, so they wouldn't have had a rifle available to them. The ATV is not likely that it's going to have a rifle on board because the ATV is not that well secured. It doesn't have any fucking doors on it, right? You can still put a rifle lock in there, but the added benefit of a vehicle is there's another barrier for someone to contend with as a door in the window. They're going to have to breach that barrier to get into the interior of that vehicle. Does it take much to do that? No, but it's an extra added step that they're going to have to do. Whereas with an ATV, you just hop in the damn thing. So I can't fault the agency for not having a rifle on board the ATV or anything like that. For a safety and security standpoint, it's just hard to maintain security over something being left in an ATV like that. This guy right here, he was probably near a vehicle or was patrolling in a vehicle. Not sure which, but he gets a rifle out and puts it into play, and that's phenomenal. If you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. Rifles will dominate gunfights. They will stop those gunfights a lot faster, generally, than pistols will. Rifles are more accurate, and they have better incapacitating power than a pistol does. And I don't care what kind of pistol you got. 940, 45, 357. I don't care. All pistol ammunition sucks in comparison to a rifle cartridge. Rifles are more accurate because they have longer barrels on them, and you have more points of contact on that rifle to help further reduce movement in the overall system, thus reducing your likelihood or reducing your chances of missing greatly. A pistol has a very short barrel on it, and you only get 2 points of contact. Your dominant hand and your non-dominant hand. A good two-handed grip. That's it. The littlest amount of movement, even when pulling the trigger, can cause that gun to move so much that it can throw your shot placement way off. Now, up close and personal, may not notice a whole lot, but as you add increments of distance, it becomes very noticeable. And you can miss the target completely. So in those regards, the rifle is better because it has a longer barrel, more points of contact. You further stabilize that system, and it reduces the most amount of movement into that overall system to make it as more accurate as possible. The cartridge, the projectile, the terminal ballistics are they're night and day compared to pistol. The incapacitating power of a rifle cartridge, it can take fewer rounds of rifle to rapidly physically incapacitate a threat than it can a pistol. It may take you 1 to 5 rounds of rifle to rapidly incapacitate a threat, whereas with a pistol, it could take you 5 to 12 rounds, maybe more, to rapidly physically incapacitate a threat. So rifles are way, way better than pistols. So this guy did the right thing by getting a rifle out and going up to this potential gunfight.
2. Huh? 5-2. I don't know. She was reaching, right? See right there. Hey, we got someone gloves. Let's get medical going.
All right, so we will get into the other ones.
Gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Move left!
One side, front.
the gun! Hand! Show me your hand! Show me your hand! Hands now! George 904, shots taken, shots taken. Don't move! Don't move! Fucking move! Back away! Back up!
Do not move! Do not move! Do not move!
Y'all hold at him. Hey guys, I'll hold people from over here. Don't touch that. Don't you move! Don't you move! Don't move!
Pull back.
Hey, we got someone with gloves. Let's get medical going. Get off the radio.
All right, we see another guy with a rifle over here.
Hey, we
Right there.
got someone with gloves. Let's get medical going. Get off the radio. Behind you. Yep.
Back it up to the beginning. So he appears to be a rear passenger inside this ATV here. You see this officer up here sitting in the front.
Gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Move left! Drop the gun! Hand! Drop the...
So the others decide to go back to the ATV. He decides to hoof it out and go after the guys. He obviously sees that they go up into this area.
Show me your hand! Show me your hand!
Now, when he hits the ground, listen.
Hands now!
That's the sound of that gun, in my opinion, hitting that concrete when he falls.
Hand! Show me your hand! Hands now! Hands now! Your hand! Show me your hand! Hands now! Hands now! Hands now! George 904, shots taken. Hands now! Hands now!
I would really like to see the autopsy report on this one.
Hands now!
Because, I mean, he just bends right over and has his ass pointed right at him.
Hands now!
He even goes, whoop.
Hands now! Hands now!
So yeah, he hits, you hear the gun go clink, and then boom, they react. They start shooting. So they see the gun is in his hand, and he's a threat at this point. He is a substantial risk to the rest of the public. So these officers are acting in defense of themselves, and they are acting in the defense of the public, everyone else. Because this guy's not just a danger to them, these officers, he's also a danger to the rest of the public. He's been shooting his gun. He's shot at people. He shot someone. He is a fleeing felon who is a substantial risk to the rest of the public. So, under Tennessee versus Garner, I 110% believe that these officers were justified in using deadly physical force against this guy under that context, using force to stop this guy from running. But I think that this would fall under their general use of deadly physical force and self-protection of oneself. I think that they could articulate that they feared for their life at this moment. This guy having a gun in his hand, and that's why they acted. Now, he's in a bit of an odd position, right? Like, he's obviously not landed correctly. Like, he he had no intentions of wanting to land and hit the ground like this. He probably thought he was going to land on his feet and take off really fast. It just didn't happen that way. He hits, he rolls. They see the gun, and you got to think about what's going through their heads, what they're perceiving, the OODA loop, right? Like, they're observing, they boom, he's rolling, he's hitting the ground, clink, gun, they see this, they're observing that, they're orientating themselves in this space here, making that decision to act and then acting upon it. So as that process is happening, he is still moving, and he gets into this kind of doggy style position, so to speak. And they start shooting a little bit before that. But as they're shooting, he is rolling and ends up in that kind of doggy style position. They continue to fire. He hikes that butt up a little bit higher. Some more rounds are fired, and then boom, they stop. So this is not a classic target orientation that you would expect, right? Like, you go to any firearms class, the targets are going to be held in a vertical manner, squared off to you, like a shape of a person, right, is going to be squared off to you as if they're facing you. That's every damn range you go to in the U.S., all across the world. The targets are going to be, if they are humanoid shaped targets, or very anatomically correct kind of paper targets, or photographic representation of a person kind of target, they're all going to be oriented in a way that they are standing on their feet and facing you. I don't think there's one target out there that exists where a person is in a doggy style position and all you can see is their fucking ass. I just don't think a target like that exists anywhere. Now, you do have other targets where a person is standing behind a hostage, stuff like that, but you don't have targets like this. There are some 3D targets out there, but again, those targets are made in a way that they're going to be in a standing or a vertical type position, and they're going to be either squared off to you, or because they're 3D, they may be angled in some way, and there can be a object in the center of it where a heart would be, and you can kind of get the idea of how different angles mean that different positions of the target mean that you may not be hitting the heart. You may have to adjust based on the angle of the target, right? Like, if they're straight squared off to you face to face, you aim center mass, you're likely going to be hitting the heart. But as you start to blade them and you stand in a different position, well, what is center mass at that point, right? So you have to account for the fact that if you shoot into that quote-unquote armpit area, you may have to actually aim a little bit further to the left to account for the fact that heart's going to be in a kind of a different spot versus if it was just facing to you directly. But like I said, all targets are in a kind of a vertical plane, and even the 3D ones, they're also in a vertical kind of plane. No targets like this exist. So this is something that needs to be thought about. What if, the target is in a position like this? From the angle of the camera, all we can really see, and it's kind of blurry, all we can really see the most of is his buttocks and the top of his back and a little bit of his head area. So, aiming for center mass, can you hit the heart by aiming at what would be his back area? No, you're not going to be putting rounds square into his heart if you fire into his back, because those rounds are most likely going to travel across his back, and if they do go in, the trajectory, they're not going to go deep into the thoracic cavity. You may be lucky and hit the head of what head you can see, but you're just not going to get those rounds to go into the heart, aorta, or lungs like you would if he was in a vertical kind of plane. So the only place to be shooting is his buttocks. And when you think about the anatomy of the pelvic girdle, there's a lot of arteries in there, right? So it's like it may sound goofy to say shoot him in the ass, but in this this physical orientation of how he's standing, or not how he's standing, but how he's positioned, shooting him in the ass is the most viable option at this point, because you can plug rounds through that gluteus maximus and it go into that pelvic girdle area and start causing damage to those arteries that's inside there. Is it going to be the best target? No, but it's what's given to them, and you gotta go with what you're given. And if this is all you're given, then you know, give them a bunch of new assholes.
George, not enforced. Hands! Hands now! George, not enforced. Shots taken. Shots taken. Don't move! Don't move!
All right, and we'll move on to the last video.